What I'm about to show you is an example of a testosterone booster that would probably yield or have zero effects. So for those of you who are brand new to my channel, my name is Lucas, the founder of Ergogenic Health, and my mission is to bring you the most cutting edge health information that you'll struggle to find on Google. So please do me a favor and like this video and hit subscribe down below to stay up to date with the latest and greatest health research. So in this video, what I'm going to look at is a particular testosterone booster that claims to boost testosterone. However, what I'm going to do is actually dissect this and actually dismantle this formula to sort of break down and hopefully stop many men from making this mistake when looking at, boosting their testosterone and or libido. So what I'm going to look at in this video specifically is Dr. Sam Robbins's formula, Alpha Viral. Now we can see here that it says scientifically validated ingredients, and it says Alpha Viral's 22+ year powerful formula contains organic non-GMO ingredients validated by scientific research showing both effectiveness and safety. Now, what I'm going to do is specifically dissect and break down this particular formula and actually explain why you would not want to be using this particular formula. And instead, what I'll do is give you a framework to actually, work from, to actually outline which supplements actually work to boost testosterone. So towards the end, I'll be sharing exactly which supplements I personally use and I've used to get my testosterone levels to 988 nanograms per deciliter, just shy of 1,000. So looking at the ingredient breakdown, the very first ingredient, before we get into the ingredients, looking at the serving size. So serving size, 2 capsules, servings per container, 40. And the very first ingredient listed is vitamin D3. Now, vitamin D3 does show promise to increase testosterone levels in adults that have suboptimal vitamin D levels. So by just correcting a vitamin D deficiency, we can see an increase in testosterone in healthy males. However, the dosage required to do so is actually a lot higher than what is listed on this particular label. We can see that he's used 266 IU of vitamin D, which is a very low dose and would be probably more likely to get more vitamin D from eating salmon and vitamin D in your day. So that dosage of 266 IU of vitamin D would have negligible, if not zero, effects on testosterone. Now, the next ingredient that is listed is Zinimax or zinc picolinate. Zinc picolinate is perhaps one of the worst forms of zinc to be using. I've got another video that's either going to be released by the time this video is out or hopefully is already released. That sort of breaks down why zinc picolinate is the worst form of zinc to be supplementing with. Unfortunately, zinc picolinate is literally zinc combined with picolinic acid, and the combination there is actually a very poor way to raise bioavailable zinc levels in the body. And looking at the dosage that was used, he's using 10 milligrams. I think that dosage is low. However, I think it's a sustainable dosage, to be honest. If somebody's going to be using zinc for long periods of time, 10 to 15 milligrams is personally what I think is ideal, particularly for those who are not vegan or vegetarian and they're consuming plenty of meat, seafood, things like that. But the form that's used in this formula is terrible. The next ingredient is selenium. Now, selenium is, again, something you don't necessarily want to be supplementing with because toxicity is achieved very rapidly, and high dose selenium can result in issues with selenium toxicity. So this is, again, something that personally I'd rather a man consume 3 to 4 Brazil nuts per day as a selenium source. So you don't really need to be supplementing with selenium unless you have, maybe heavy metal toxicity or some evidence to suggest that you have low selenium. The next ingredient is copper oxide. Now, copper oxide is perhaps the worst form of copper to use. The oxide form is actually somewhat dangerous to be supplementing with as it can lead to an increase in oxidative stress. So copper, in particular copper oxide, even though it's a very low, somewhat of a low dose, 1.3 milligrams, I think this form is terrible and should not be used. The next ingredient is biofolates, so methylfolate. Okay, so looking at methylfolate, which is vitamin B9, question is, do you need to be using the activated form of B9, the methyl form of B9, or are you someone that would respond better to the just standard B9? Some people, when they use methylfolate in dosages even as low as this, 270 micrograms, actually notice worsened anxiety, worsened mood, and can, over time, if they start using it for maybe like longer than 2 weeks or so, they can get symptoms of overmethylation. So even if you just do a quick search on Google, symptoms of overmethylation, you'll see thousands of people reporting major issues with methylfolate continuous usage. So again, I would not be considering this in a testosterone booster. Although it does help with fertility and sperm count, I would not be including methylfolate as an ingredient to boost testosterone. And then looking at the next ingredient, vitamin B6 at a dosage of 50 milligrams. While some people might think this is a low dose, it is actually not a low dose. It's quite a high dose. And he's using the wrong form of vitamin B6, pyridoxine hydrochloride. We should be using the activated form, P5P. Now, the problem with 50 milligrams of vitamin B6, I can see the rationale behind why he would want to include B6 in this formula. Everyone's going to be talking about the ability for vitamin B6 to lower prolactin, and it does do so. However, long-term use of vitamin B6, even as little as, let's say, 4 weeks at 50 milligrams, can lead to B6 toxicity. Out of all the B vitamins, unfortunately, vitamin B6 is one of the most dangerous vitamins to be supplementing with, because it can actually lead to toxicity and even neuropathy and nerve issues. So again, we want to be avoiding this, particularly if you're looking at using a supplement to boost testosterone. It just doesn't make sense in my opinion. Now we're getting onto the testosterone support optimizer. Now my initial thoughts here is an immediate red flag and issue that we're seeing here is the proprietary blend. We can see here that this in total, there's 5 ingredients here in this section at a dosage of 607 milligrams, which is a small dose. Now we're looking at the actual ingredients used. Testofen, fenugreek. Testofen does have some evidence to boost testosterone and even sperm count. So I would consider this a pretty good ingredient. But the thing is, we just don't know what this breakdown would look like. And unfortunately, with testofen, we'd need at least 500 milligrams to exert a beneficial effect, which means that all the other ingredients listed here could be in trace amounts and not have any beneficial effect at all. So looking at Avena sativa extract, which has no studies in humans to boost testosterone. Tonkat Ali does have some, good evidence to boost testosterone. I've got a video coming out on that. And it's also one of the ingredients that I personally use and have used to boost my testosterone levels, as I mentioned at the start. Maca root has 0 effect on testosterone. It increases sperm count and sperm volume, and it also increases libido by increasing dopamine and noradrenaline. And then finally, looking at boron, so a 5% extract, citrate, aspartate, glycinate complex. Boron does have some evidence, which I do think is useful for those guys looking to boost testosterone. But the major issue here is the fact that it's in a proprietary blend. 607 milligrams, broken down, we could be using maybe like tiny amounts of each ingredient and it will have 0 effect. The next section, again, an LH, FSH, luteinizing hormone, follicle stimulating hormone support optimizer, dosage 280 milligrams. The major issue here, yet again, a proprietary blend. We can't see how much of each ingredient. And the very first ingredient, Bulgarian tribulus, although it is a high percentage of protodiosine, which is one of the major ingredients or constituents found in tribulus that has a beneficial effect on testosterone, the dosage would be too low. And the same would apply with stinging nettle root and also ginger. So again, issues there. Looking at the nitric oxide support optimizer, we can see here like 500 milligrams, which across 3 ingredients. So L-arginine, alpha-ketoglutarate, and L-citrulline, pine bark extract. We need to be using much higher doses to elicit a nitric oxide boost from these ingredients. You need minimum, with citrulline, at least 4 grams. Pine bark, you need at least 150 milligrams, and then alpha-ketoglutarate, L-arginine, at least 2 grams. So again, we're not going to see much of an effect in terms of blood flow there. Looking at the cortisol support optimizer, we can see here that, in my opinion, this formula is just overkill. It's trying to address too many things at once. We can't do this with just 2 capsules per day. And this is why, honestly, I cannot wait until I release my own formulas one day that actually have clinically studied dosages and ingredients that actually work. But in the meantime, you'll see at the end, I've got a bit of a surprise for you guys. Cortisol support optimizer. So horny goat weed, again, we're seeing a proprietary blend, and then KSM 66, or what I say, KSM 666, the devil's ashwagandha, that has a numbing effect on your emotions. It can numb orgasm, numb pleasure, and numb your general pleasure response in life. That's what we've seen with thousands of men around the world. If you search ashwagandha anhedonia, you'll see enough evidence to suggest that it's actually a possible side effect. And then we're looking at the female hormone optimizer. I mean, well, first of all, I can see what he's doing here. So DIM. The problem with DIM is that at high doses of DIM, we can actually block the androgen receptor. So it's not actually a very beneficial estrogen blocker. White button mushrooms, yes, I'm a fan of white button mushrooms. And then again, we're seeing vitamin B6. So we saw vitamin B6 above, and now we're seeing more vitamin B6. I mean, you could quickly achieve vitamin B6 toxicity within 2 weeks of taking this particular formula. And then we're looking at the DHT support optimizer. So ZeniMax is listed again, 10 milligrams. Technically speaking, this is not how like supplement ingredient breakdowns should be. You're repeating the same ingredient, which doesn't really make sense. And then finally, the dopamine support optimizer, which you guys know I've got other ways to boost dopamine, apart from using the most dangerous herb, in my opinion, Mucuna pruriens, at 25% L-Dopa. Mucuna pruriens, it is great for an acute dopamine boost, but long-term, like very, very high doses long-term, is not beneficial. We can see the dosage here is quite low, 150 milligrams at a 25% L-Dopa. But again, I mean, there's other ways to boost dopamine that will have a better effect long-term. So that is my consensus, my opinion on this particular formula. Now, as I did mention at the start, I mentioned that I was able to max out my testosterone levels. We can see here, I managed to get it to 34.3, which was high on our Australian reference range, which is completely ridiculous that they've actually reduced the reference range, because the average level of testosterone in a man today is so low. I actually took many supplements to actually achieve this particular result. But this result was not just from supplementation alone. There were specific dietary strategies that I used. There was other biohacks that I did. There were different, exercise regimens that I adhered to basically boost testosterone as high as possible naturally. And I've covered some of them on this channel. But what you'll see is that there are actually other strategies and other things that men can do to boost testosterone. I mean, we know that diet can affect hormones. We know that sunlight exposure, like there are many things that can affect testosterone. And since I got asked so many times from guys watching my videos here, what did you take? What was your protocol like? What did you do? I've put together a free training. It's a free webinar where you can sign up down below to watch a breakdown of everything you can do to boost testosterone. So if you're a guy that really cares about having high levels of natural testosterone, click the free training in the link below. I have it's a great breakdown. It's a beginner-friendly sort of introduction to boosting your testosterone levels using strategies and specific supplements that actually work. If you care about your testosterone, join that as soon as possible. I'm really, really proud of this particular webinar free training that I built. So do so as soon as you can, guys. Otherwise, thank you so much for tuning in. Hopefully you learnt more than one thing in this video. And I look forward to seeing those guys that join the free training. They'll also get I log in frequently to see what guys have to say, and I'm always responding there. So looking forward to seeing you guys join. Otherwise, that's it from me. I'll see you guys soon.